If you're in any doubt about the danger of big government, I'd direct your attention to the state of Victoria. There, a state premier has destroyed the livelihoods of hundreds of thousands of business owners. He's curtailed freedoms and liberties. Laws are being selectively enforced and citizens are being stalked by the police. Here's the Premier back in March outlining just the beginning of Victoria's unprecedented rules.
Giving police these sorts of powers is very important, and it sends a strong message, I hope. Follow the rules, do the right thing, keep your distance, stay at home. That is the key message, and if you're flouting those rules, you will be punished.
The current state of Victoria reminds me of the famous quote from US President Gerald R. Ford. A government big enough to give you everything you want is a government big enough to take from you everything you have. And that's exactly what we're seeing in Victoria today. We've got a bloated government empowered by a feeble opposition and a public who have long embraced the cosy cocoon of socialism. Well, that government are now making their power felt. Just today, the Premier announced an extension to the state of disaster.
Today, I can announce that we have extended the state of emergency and the state of disaster for a further 4 weeks. That underpins all the different rules. It underpins taking those safe and steady steps, and of course I'll come to what those steps mean, just to remind every Victorian about what those steps mean from midnight tonight.
Power is dangerous because it corrupts, and it generates an insatiable hunger for ever more. And that's why we have a political system that's designed with checks and balances. An electorate holds a politician to account. The Parliament holds governments to account. And the free media provides a scrutinising eye over everything. But what happens when those traditional levers break down? In Victoria, despite the gratuitous abuse of office and taxpayer funds by the Andrews government, the people continued to re-elect them. And in the upper house, instead of principled and committed parliamentarians that we need to scrutinise legislation, the rigged system there delivers the balance of power to an assortment of misfits and leftists. And that's enabled the Andrews government to rule under emergency powers and operate without the scrutiny or approval of Parliament. The opposition, whose task it is to hold the government to account, has been missing in action for so long that I wonder whether they even know how to do their jobs anymore. And that weakness has further emboldened the government to do almost whatever they want. Now, the media too have failed the community. They've not been unbiased reporters or public examiners of fact. They've not been holding the state leaders to account. Instead, many have been reduced to cheerleaders for their preferred political tribe. Victoria today is what happens when our institutions fail us. But how can we expect better from our governments when so many involved in our political process have spent so long not doing their job? It's a pity that it's taken the creation of a police state to waken them from their slumber.